they play for.
We can take a look and show you where the few shots did come from. As we mentioned, only 4 of them coming during the entire second period, and 2 of those came from one particular opportunity right in front of Pete Peters.
Well, it was that play that Gilchrist came over, set up McPhee, number 35, and Gilchrist had that quick little rebound. We talked about only 1 shot on goal to that point, and then right there came in McPhee with that close-in chance. Peters took it away. Other than that, there haven't been rebounds. There haven't been any breakaways. It's just been tight defense, and I would look for more of the same, although with the capacity of both sides to skate, one mistake and really could open this game up, and then once one team gets up, that could be the thing that could get this game going a little bit. I'd like to see a few more chances, a little more skating like we saw in that second game with Montreal up in the Montreal Forum. This is too much like that first game that ended 0-0, where it was interesting defensive hockey, but pretty boring in terms of overall chances. I'd like to see a little more action, and both teams are capable of doing it with the skaters they've got.
Let's check in now down in the corner with all the action. Here's Jeff Rimmer.
Thanks, Mike. You know, I had a chance to visit with some of the Montreal players before tonight's hockey game. This is the first of back-to-back games for the Canadiens as they leave the Adams division to take on 2 teams here in the Patrick division. The Canadiens is very much, as Al and Mike point out, skating team, but they also like the physical part of the game. They'll play any kind of game you want to play, and we're looking forward certainly to tonight's game, and then ahead to Pittsburgh to play Mario Lemieux, hopefully for his return after a game's absence tomorrow night, as they'll play in Pittsburgh against those Penguins. Lemieux, of course, missing last night's game, a game that saw the Pittsburgh Penguins clinch a playoff spot for the first time in several years. He's nursing a groin injury and may or may not be back for the game against the Canadiens tomorrow night. Second period action just ahead, and to join you with a play-by-play, once again, Mike Bournes and Al Koken.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. As Jeff mentioned, the Penguins now qualify. 3 teams in the Patrick division have made the playoffs, and I'd like to pass congratulations on to Gene Ubriaco for that feat. The Canadiens facing Ubriaco's Pittsburgh Penguin team tomorrow night. Penguins, as Jeff told you, have not made the playoffs for so many years, and all credit given to Gene Ubriaco. He's got some talent to work with. It takes a guy to make that blend, and good work, Gene.
Here's Bobby Gould on the right wing. We're underway now with tonight's second period. Dumps it into the Canadian zone. Scott Stevens keeps it inside to Hunter. A shot and a stick save made by Hayward. Hunter along the sideboards, taken away by Ryan Walter. Now out to center ice for Gainey. Sent across the line by Ludwig and in behind Pete Peters. Scott Stevens starts out. Ahead to Courtnall, took the pass across 2 lines. The faceoff comes back into the Washington zone.
Dale Hunter puts a great shot on goal. What makes this tough for Haywood is that he could look to his left and see Jeff Courtnall speeding down. So he had to be aware of Hunter trying to possibly pass to Courtnall or take that shot. Hunter elects to take the shot, and Hayward's got to be very quick with the stick. See it again. You see how Courtnall's in your picture there. So Hayward's got to be looking at that, seeing Gould coming in on the other side. And Hunter was smart. He recognized the fact that it would have been a perfect pass to try and get it to either of those guys, that both defensemen had taken his wingers away, and the shot was his. He put a bullet on Brian Haywood.
Gustafson wins the draw, brings it back to Scott Stevens. Too far for Christian, sails all the way down, and Chelios is back now for the Canadiens. Christian into forecheck. Ludwig, a surprise pass as far as Chelios is concerned. It comes up the sideboards now for Richer. And back again for Ludwig. Tipped off the glass by Gustafson, but sent out of the zone to center ice. Another 2-line pass halting the action as Richer grabs it. Well, Stéphane Richer on the receiving end of a little practical joke from his coach Pat Burns earlier in the year that I thought was pretty fascinating. Of course, Burns, a former detective with the Gatineau, Ontario police force. For 15 years, he was a cop. Took some of that powder that shows up on your hands on marked money and apparently coated the toilet seat in the Canadiens dressing room. Richer went in to do a little reading and came out, had a good practice session, worked up quite a sweat, which is what makes the powder come alive, and was mostly purple from the waist down. And I guess the more he washed, the worse it got. And the trainers were not in on it. And they were ready to take him to the hospital. They were very concerned, and Burns was just cracking up.
Pretty rare when the coach starts playing the practical jokes with the players. Although if you've been on the police force for 15 years, probably not too many jokes going to be played on you.
Word has it that Burns found socks with no toes in them shortly thereafter. Here's a high stick thrown on Richer by Hatcher. He came up and belted him pretty good. Nothing called. And Gustafson has the puck in the corner.
Boy, and
now, Corson and Stevens have the lumber raised as well.
I'll tell you, the Canadian bench to a man rose up in fury.
High slap shot goes off the glass. And now it's Karam's all the way back inside the Washington zone. Russ Courtnall for Montreal. Into the corner. Jams up with Johansson. Now on the right wing. Here comes Dave Christian across the blue line. Christian tries to center, has it knocked down. Robinson throws it behind the net. And it's sent up the sideboards. And Russ Courtnall takes over. Former Toronto Maple Leaf out to center ice. Pavanka steals, starts back to Wrigley. Gets across the blue line. Wrigley can't center it, gives it off to Pavanka. He jumps it right in front of the net. But the Canadians come out. Mike McPhee leading the attack. Center ice. Here is Brent Gilchrist into the Washington zone. Hit by Bob Rouse. Rouse and Gilchrist still swinging sticks at one another. And Larry Robinson takes over out at center ice. The puck is dumped back into the Washington zone. Calle Johansson back to get it. Over to Michael Pavanka. Off the skates of Wrigley and taken over now by Larry Robinson. Up to Mike Keane, in across the blue line. McPhee looking for the return pass. A shot! Oh, Peters! An outstanding pad save. Back come the Capitals on the attack. Here's Mike Ridley to center ice. To Bob Rouse across the line. Kelly Miller, a shot! That's deflected wide by Hayward's stick. The puck caroms out to center. Here's McPhee across the blue line. Back to Strudlin. Drops it off. Mike Keane into the corner, and Langway's there to get it. Here's Langway working out of his own end. Stick handles ahead to Wickenheiser at center ice. Wickenheiser dumps it on into the Montreal zone. Puck bounces behind the Canadiens' goal and got behind goaltender Brian Hayward. Here's Franceschetti firing just wide. He has to chase it as it bounces all the way back inside the Washington zone. One shot for each side so far in the second period. We've played 4 minutes. Here's Naslund cutting in. Peters lofts it into the corner. Franceschetti back to take it. Clears. Trying to get it out of the zone, and now here's a shot. Peters stops it. That was Naslund who got the drive underway. And out comes Doug Wickenheiser. Up to center ice. Passes behind Lou Franceschetti. Eric Desjardins loses the puck to Wickenheiser. His wrist shot. Bouncing right across the goal now. And the shot by Leach goes wide as it was sent to the side of the net. There was Hayward to just nudge it aside with his stick. A jam up just inside the blue line. Finally, the puck is thrown to the corner. Here's a hard hit. Courtnall plays it back to Green, and Bob Gould works it away in front of shot. And a goal! Dale Hunter was left alone in front of the Montreal net. Perhaps the only time in the game that the Canadiens have committed that error. Washington leads 1-0.
Well, Mike, this is set up because the Capitals really get pressure on the young defenseman Desjardins. Gould gets in on him, forces them Desjardins to throw that puck up to the boards where Courtnall is waiting for it. And you talk about a guy who makes a perfect pass. How could you make a better one than that? Jeff Courtnall known for his shot. The boy, did he make a beautiful pass? Just set up Hunter. You see how Gould has forced Desjardins to throw that pass up the boards? There's Courtnall to pick it off and set up Hunter. And the Caps get a big lead in this game at 1-0.
That's the 18th goal of the season for Dale Hunter. Courtnall and Gould get the assist at 5:05, and now Courtnall's shot blocked to the blue line. And Kevin Hatcher with a slap shot. That's knocked down. Hatcher keeps the play going. Carries it to his backhand. Into the corner. Drops it off for Bobby Gould. He and Chelios square off behind the net. The puck rides the back of the netting, and now Chelios tripped up as Gould reaches for it. There's going to be a penalty call coming up, a delayed call against Washington. Out of the nets comes Hayward. Guy Carbonneau works to center ice. Flips it across the blue line back inside the Washington zone, and Peters quickly handles the puck forcing the stoppage in play. 2 minutes for hooking coming at 5:50 of the second period as Bobby Gould goes to the box. There's a break in the action. Washington leads Montreal 1-0.
TWA kept something in mind when we made our business class seat one of the widest in the sky. People sometimes cross their legs. Today's TWA. Find out how good we really are.
After all those meetings in Minneapolis and conventions in Kansas City, we think you could use a little change of pace. And after 40,000 miles in TWA's frequent flyer program, that's just what you get. Today's TWA. Find out how good we really are.
The crowd in rare form for this one tonight. Going to see the Canadiens go on the power play for the first time this evening. Hooking is the call as Bobby Gould hooks down Chris Chelios. 5:50 the time. Montreal with their first man advantage of the evening.
Canadians ranked 13th in the league on the power play at 21%. Capitals at 81%, 9th in the league at killing off penalties. Right away, they get the job done, sending it all the way down. Dave Christian is out with Bengt Gustafsson. Neil Sheehy with Rod Langway. Mike Keane high on the right wing for the Canadiens. Bobby Smith is on with Mats Naslund. Defensively, it's Chelios and Robinson. Robinson goes all the way to the corner after it. Naslund tries to work it right in front of the net through that whole crowd of players, and Gustafsson steals and sends it all the way down. Kind of an unorthodox setup with a man advantage for Montreal.
Well, they will take the chance. Particularly, it's usually Chelios, although Robinson still will step in on the play and try and overload one side to open up the other end for his defense partner.
Here's Kelly Miller. Tries to pry it off the sideboards and now gets the job done. Langway is without a stick. Here comes Kelly Miller down the left wing for Washington. Centers, but Robinson's there to recover. Back come the Canadiens on the attack. Larry Robinson drives it into the Washington zone. Stéphane Richer to the corner. Jumps to get out of Stevens' way. At the point, Chelios can't keep it in. Here comes Chris Chelios down the right wing side. Wickenheiser steals and clears. Russ Courtnall backs it up for Stéphane Richer. Long slap shot gloved by Pete Peters. Clears to the point. Here's a drive. Desjardins with a blast, and the save was made by Peters. Now a centering pass wide through the goal mouth, all the way back to the point. Doug Wickenheiser for Washington picks an opening and clears it back to the Canadiens' blue line. Larry Robinson. Starts out. Both clubs at full strength, and here's Gould on the ice for Washington. Leads it ahead on the right wing, Dino Ciccarelli. He's on with Ridley, and the pass goes too far for Mike Ridley. Into the corner. Ridley tries to move it for Ciccarelli. That's taken out to center, and Richer looks for Corson, can't find him. Ciccarelli, a slap shot, and a goal! Dino Ciccarelli sent a bouncing puck towards Brian Hayward. It skids through his pad, and the Capitals lead 2-0.
Well, you'll see it here as Ciccarelli unloads. Watch that little skip. And it goes there, and I think changes direction a bit. Hops on the ice and up and through the pad. That's what throws Hayward off. Be able to see the skip again as it catches Robinson. I think that's what also helps change that direction a little bit. Whatever it is, the bullet from Ciccarelli. A little bit of revenge. His first game was against Montreal. He got knocked out of it because of an elbow from Ludwig that gave him a concussion. He makes the most of it now. The Capitals roar out to a 2-0 lead.
Kevin Hatcher goes back into the corner. Plays it ahead for Steve Leach. At the blue line, it's taken out to center ice by Chelios. Ciccarelli's goal is unassisted at 8:23 of the second period. Here's a slap shot by Gainey on goal. Peters makes the save. Wickenheiser to the corner. Now to Kevin Hatcher. He tries to get a stick on it. It's back to the point. Ludwig a blast, and Peters gets a stick on that. Out comes Steve Leach for Washington. Has Ludwig to beat, and his wrist shot goes off Ludwig's stick and up into the crowd for a souvenir.
Now there are 4 great places to go to cheer the Caps on to the Stanley Cup, the Cap Center, and all 3 Joe Theismann's restaurant locations. They're in Vienna, Bailey's Crossroads, and Old Town Alexandria. What could be better than enjoying fine American food in a relaxing, friendly atmosphere and watching the Caps game? Joe Theismann's restaurant, where good friends meet great food.
Imagine Joe's is going to be pretty jammed during the playoffs this year. Most of the restaurant owners who have home team sports or show sports on television always tell me that once playoff time starts, standing room only.
It's starting now as well, and one thing about those Theismann's locations, they really geared it to watch TV. Think of that one in Old Town Alexandria. There are televisions dotted all throughout the restaurant, big screens, good TVs. There's about 4 along the bar alone, so you can work your way, socialize around the bar, and still not miss any of the action.
Spoken like a true veteran.
I'm just saying, in theory, I guess you could do that.
Hatcher gets hit by Sprudlin as the puck is thrown back inside the Washington end. Of course, you meant to check out the different games on each monitor, right?
You see better your viewing it.
Sprudlin to Gilchrist. He misses on the return pass, and now Bobby Gould starts out for the Capitals. Gets it outside the line. Washington leads 2-0. We're just about halfway through the second period. Gilchrist goes to the corner. Now Stevens back to try and move Sprudlin away. And Stevens has the puck. Sends it out of the zone to center ice. Chelios back to the Washington line. Here comes Scott Stevens. Left wing pass off the stick of Courtnall, and Gilchrist returns it to center. Stevens drives it right back in. Washington completes their line change now as Gilchrist starts out. Taken away by Gustafson. Cicerelli put a hit on Gilchrist. And linesman Mark Perry right in there to make sure Gilchrist doesn't come back at Dino Cicerelli. Gilchrist is limping over to the bench.
They're going to call it boarding, and here's the difficulty. You know, the referees want to crack down on this penalty, and it's a good call, but it's awful difficult when a guy is facing the ice, then suddenly turns your back right as you're about to get hit. I think what the referees have been asked to do is when these guys have their back to the play and are up in front of the boards when they get rammed that way. But when you turn your back all of a sudden, it's awful tough to pull away from the check. Let's go down to Jeff Rimmer.
Thanks, Al. Let's check our home team sports scoreboard. Georgetown comes back in the final moments to win by 1 over Princeton. George Mason trailing early on in the game by 6. It's the Bullets trailing the New Jersey Nets. Tomorrow night, the Bullets come right back here to play the 76ers. And don't forget our next Orioles telecast, preseason-wise. The Orioles and the Yankees from Fort Lauderdale. You'll see it on Tuesday night here on Home Team Sports. Let's go back upstairs to Mike and Al.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Now, you see where Gilchrist is? He's facing the action. Now, all of a sudden, he turns while Cicerelli's coming in. Now, Dino certainly runs him into the boards, and I guess in that regard, it is a boarding call.
It'll put the Canadiens on the manpower advantage as Neil Sheehy goes back to his own line. Bounces the puck into Montreal ice. Capitals have Gustafson and Christian up front. Sheehy and Langway on the blue line. Nice keen on with Smith and Naslund for the Canadiens. Chelios with Robinson. This one skims out of the zone, and Christian giving Robinson a race for it. Drops it off. Gustafson, a blast in the goal mouth. And Robinson had to grab that puck and stuff it right underneath Brian Hayward to keep that one from trickling into the net.
Well, Mike, I want to see this again. I think this may get through Hayward, hit the post, and then go back to Hayward. Let's watch it. Great camera work down there in that corner from Bill Greenback, and watch the way Gustafson winds up on that bouncing puck. It's spinning. It gets through him, off the post, and then back in. Brian Hayward has been tortured by a couple bouncing pucks in this period. This one works to his advantage, though, as it hits the post and comes back to him. What a huge, that could have just broken this game completely open for the Capitals. a shorthanded tally like that.
Still a minute 25 to go in the Washington penalty to Cicerelli. Here's Chelios. Back to Robinson. Right side for Keene. Sheehy takes over and sends it off the boards and all the way down the ice. Chelios works the center. Into the Capital zone. Sheehy right with him, lines him up, and takes him to the backboard. Langway goes in and throws a heavy hit back there to knock Mike Keene down, and the Capitals come out on the attack. Wickenheiser to center ice. Fires it back into the Montreal zone. Kelly Miller chasing to try and keep it in play and gets the job done on Bobby Smith. That's bigger opponents for Kelly Miller. Matt Naslund speeds to center. Keeps it into the Washington end. Chelios to the corner, and Stevens back there. Over now to Russ. Russ Courtnall takes it away. And walks in front of the Washington net. He shoots. Peters gets the pass save. It went off the inside of his leg pass. Out of the point, and Christian turns it all the way down. That'll take care of the penalty. Cicerelli jumps out of the box, and Washington is at full strength. Stephane Richer for the Washington line. Ties up with Stevens. And Gustafson works it free. He feeds it out to Cicerelli. Cicerelli to the blue line. Drop pass for Christian. Back to Cicerelli. And tipped just wide into the corner. At the point, here's Scott Stevens with the puck. Can't keep it in. It's played out to center. Now frozen as it rides the shelf up around waist level, and play is halted.
WMAX mix will get you up in a good mood with McCarthy in the morning. Tabloid Trash Roulette, birthday wake up, plus Pilot Duke Brooks in the mix traffic copter. McCarthy in the morning on WMIX. Mix 106.5, Baltimore's best mix of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. See a lot more skating in this period. Things have really opened up because of that. I don't see a lot more gambling going on. Maybe a couple more pinches by the defense, but for the most part, it's really been the skating ability of both teams that have turned this game around, made it a much more exciting contest, and have really opened things up for the Capitals with the 2-0 lead.
The shots are even now for the game, 11 aside. In the second period, the Canadiens have 7 shots, Washington with 5.
Here's Courtnall, Russ Courtnall. Watch how he beats Peters between the pads, and watch Peters' right leg come through. He's got him beat, but Peters had that skate angle just enough and was moving those pads back together, and that helped direct that puck away from danger. Courtnall had Peters beat between the legs.
Here's Ridley trying to center. It comes out now to McPhee. He works to center ice. McPhee across the blue line. Throws it back inside the Washington zone. Michael Pavanka starts out to Mike Ridley. He's to center ice for Cicerelli. Across the line. Dino Cicerelli drops the pass and taken away by Gilchrist. The Canadiens on the comeback. Strudlin drops it for Gilchrist. Cuts to the net. Walks in and passes, and it just misses McPhee. He was being hooked by Michael Pavanka. The Capitals. Here's Mike Ridley in across the blue line of Montreal. His wrist shot blocked by Rick Green and played off the glass and all the way down the ice into the Washington zone. Peters plays the puck and starts out now to Calle Johansson. 6:25 to go here in the second period. Courtnall dumps it back inside the Montreal end. Desjardins up the boards now for Walter. Right side for Carbonneau, but Langway takes that away and pops it high in the air back into the Montreal end. Here comes Guy Carbonneau, backhanding a pass in front for Ryan Walter, and Hunter takes him out. Again, the puck cleared to center ice, and Hunter still got something going in there with Ryan Walter. Those two were nose to nose as they skated back up ice. The sticks are still high. No pen. Now finally we're going to have a penalty called as Hunter was knocked down, and now Hunter wants to get in at Ryan Walter. Rod Langway has stepped in there to try and quiet things down, and there were perhaps 15 seconds of this going on before play was finally called. There's a break in the action with a score. Washington 2, Montreal nothing.
Toyota Camry. The bottom line for 89 is quality. Camry rates the most trouble-free new car in its class. Camry carries a much higher resale value than Honda Accord. The 16-valve Camry not only delivers more horsepower than Accord, but delivers a lower routine maintenance cost. And Camry is America's lowest priced E6 import. You'll like the savings and you'll love it.
2-minute minors. A high sticking call to Walter. Interference call to Hunter at 14-20. Let's take a look at his sequence. Here's Hunter getting Walter taken out of the play as the third man back. Now, Walter doesn't like it, responds with a stick, and look at Dale Hunter come flying back. He's going to make that contact. They're bumping, they're talking. Now they split up for just a moment, but once they come back together, here's where they really go unload. Now Dale Hunter really wants a piece of Walter. Former Capital captain Ryan Walter, 7 years now in Montreal. Turned himself into an outstanding defensive forward. Had to do more scoring when he was here in Washington. Was a great leader. Of course, went to Montreal in the Rod Langway deal. Quickly found a home in Montreal, and you talk about two guys, tough customers, Walter and Hunter.
Pretty good
Perfect
competitors there.
Both play it one way.
Green checked by Kelly Miller, and the puck comes back to Eric Desjardins. He leads it out to center ice and returned right to his stick. Mike Ridley for Washington in across the line for Kelly Miller. Charges to the side of the net, but Hayward leans out to move the puck along. He finds Bobby Smith at the blue line, taken away, and here comes Ridley. Back with Miller. Right side Hatcher sneaks in, fires. Hayward with the save.
Well, when you see Kevin Hatcher make that play, you realize just how much the Capitals have been missing that dimension from that right point with him. He's so good at doing this, jumping up to the play, and he gets that wrist shot. It's almost always on net, usually on one of the posts.
Off in front and to the left of Hayward. It'll be Wickenheiser ready to work against Russ Courtnall. Franceschetti ties up from the draw. It comes behind the net, and Larry Robinson steers it along on the right wing out to center ice. Rod Langway sends it right back in. Hayward makes the catch. Over to Robinson. Don Dufresne dumps it into the Washington zone. Langway pokes it free and clears it back to the blue line of the Canadiens. Dufresne run apart by Franceschetti. He smeared him against the backboards, and here comes Richer to start out. Steve Leach throws a hit inside the line. Back out to Sheehy. Dumps it in. Leach on the right wing. Walks in, fakes, fires, and Hayward makes the stop. And holds on, and now some pushing and shoving. Wickenheiser's underneath there. And Mark Perry is trying to make sure everybody is allowed to stand up peacefully.
Shane Corson's got something to say now to Lou Franceschetti. I'm sure it all relates to that blast Franceschetti threw on the young defenseman Dufresne.
Lou Franceschetti, by the way, now says that the hit from Cam Neely in Boston was the hardest he's ever gotten. I guess so.
What's the definition of putting pressure, getting on the defense? That's it. And particularly these young defensemen that Montreal's got in there tonight, Desjardins and Dufresne. They victimized Desjardins a little earlier in the period. There, Lou Franceschetti runs Dufresne.
Nothing. Washington has the lead. Both goals in this period. Dale Hunter and Dino Ciccarelli. Ridley works for the draw, but it's taken by Montreal, and the Canadiens come back. Bob Gainey, their captain, on the right wing side to Mike Keane. Hustled into the corner by Calle Johansson. He tries to work it loose. Here's Jeff Courtnall for the Capitals. Spins it across the line and back into Montreal ice. Mike Keane comes out to center. Gets inside the Capital zone. Turns to his backhand, but Rouse stays with him. Now centers it. It hits Peters' glove and then drops at his feet. Peters quickly turns to cover up and stops play.
Well, he's got an opportunity when people want to wish a happy birthday to Bob. Up here, Chris says happy birthday to you, and a hi to Susie. Also, some good home team sports viewers down in Virginia Beach up here tonight. Jim Novelli and Vernon Witherall. I want to say hello to all their co-workers down at NADEP down in Virginia Beach. And I want to remind you, there's still tickets available for the Maryland DC Firefighters hockey team. They will play a game on April 1st. Now, they've got tickets for the Caps Devils game, and the Maryland DC Firefighters will play the Philadelphia Firefighters after the game. All the proceeds benefit the Washington Hospital Burn Center. Call 839-6821 for your tickets. The tickets are $19. It's a great cause, a lot of fun. 839-6821 for the tickets between the Devils and the Caps April 1st. And stick around to watch the Maryland DC Firefighters take on their Philly counterparts.
Stevens chases it behind the net and sends it up on the right wing for Dino Ciccarelli. And now the whistle blows and a slashing penalty coming. This will be against the Canadiens. Or is it?
Yeah,
no, it's going to be Scott Stevens going to the box, and Washington will be shorthanded. 3:19 to go in the second period, and Stevens is in the box for slashing at 16:41.
Take a look at it. Stevens gets a little stick in there from Strudlin, but responds with a slash right to the midsection. It looked like Strudlin had that much of Scott Stevens with the stick. He was just slowing him down, something that the Caps and Canadiens have been doing all night to each other. Excellent penalty killing, as you can see. The Canadiens have had very little time in the Capital zone, only 3 shots on goal. Caps have right now only allowed 4 goals in the last 36 times shorthanded.
Chris Chelios chases it back into his own zone. He works to center ice, now drives the puck into the Washington end. Brian Strudlin to the corner. Langway ties him up. It comes off the stick of Gustafson to the blue line, but not out. Chelios keeps it in. Chris Chelios to Brent Gilchrist. Back to Chelios. Robinson misfires, trying to send it rink wide. Now Chelios fires a shot, and Peters makes the save, but it quickly turned around and cleared all the way down the ice.
You can see how much attention the Capitals give to these Montreal point men, Chelios and Robinson. Christian and Gustafson were right in front of them almost the whole time.
Here's Gilchrist. Knocked free by Sheehy. At the blue line, Chelios a shot, knocked down, and here comes Ben Gustafson. He comes up high with a stick on Chelios. Nothing called as those two got into a brief exchange. Down to... Here's a break on the left side. Wickenheiser fires wide. It takes a crazy bounce out of the corner and comes right back toward the Montreal net. 42 seconds to go in the Scott Stevens penalty. Matt Naslund to the point for Chelios. Over to Robinson. Back to Naslund. Chelios at the right point. Tries to turn it around in front of the net, but Wickenheiser backs it out of there. 19 seconds left in the Scott Stevens penalty. Canadiens wind it up again on the power play rush. Bobby Smith into the Washington zone. Ciccarelli intercepts the pass, and Naslund takes it right back. Naslund cuts in. Hatcher takes over. Penalty's over. Stevens is back, and the Capitals are at full strength. The pass is across 2 lines, and play is stopped.
Kevin Hatcher thrown out there with some penalty killing duty.
Taking a little shift with Rod Langway. 15 games he's been out of the lineup. If we get a shot of Kevin Hatcher's left skate, you can see some of the padding that Hatcher is wearing on the outside of the skate. Right there up at the top, right along the laces. That padding inside and outside, a little extra protection.
They're taking no chances with that foot. Ridley leans in for the draw against Carbonneau and beats him. Back to Bob Rouse, up on the right wing boards, off the stick of Cicerelli. He and Dufresne tie up. Now Ridley tries to work it free. It bounces to the side of the net. The Canadian Hayward keeps it going. We're in the final minute of play in the period. Both teams are at full strength. Pivonka back to Ridley, a slap shot off the elbow of Hayward and cleared to the point. Cicerelli was decked to the side of the net. Nothing called. Pivonka has it taken away. Back to Stevens at the point. Slap shot. Knocked down by Ryan Walter to Carbonneau. 3-on-2 Montreal break. Carbonneau into the Washington zone. At the left side, here's Gainey, a shot. Peters with the pad save. Bob Rouse in the corner, over to Mike Ridley. Up the boards, and Cicerelli gets it to the blue line, and now out to center ice for Pivonka. Pivonka cutting in, fakes, fires a shot, deflected just wide by Ridley. Ludwig comes back for Montreal. 10 seconds left in the period. Bobby Gould turns it loose to Dale Hunter, a breakaway. Hunter walking in alone, a deke, a pass, a shot, and a save is made by Hayward. He stopped Pivonka from point-blank range at the buzzer. Great scoring opportunity for Washington. Here's how it happened.
Two terrific chances in the final minute of the period. We'll take a look at the first opportunity. Again, Michael Pivonka fakes a shot and then sets up Ridley for the deflection that just goes wide. Now with time running out, the Canadians come up ice, but the puck is stolen. Gould sets up Hunter on the break. He's in kind of from a bad angle, so he's going to try and draw Hayward out and get it over to Pivonka, but Brian Hayward is right there to make maybe the biggest save of the game. And now a big discussion going on right now. Brian Murray in the middle of it. Gainey, Sheehy, talking to Leon Stickler. They're talking about a possible, maybe a two-line pass to get Hunter going out there.
I think they're talking about how many players were on the ice when they started out, and then maybe the pass too, but the line change looked clean. Hunter jumped right on. Maybe it is the pass they're concerned with. I initially was a little worried when Hunter took the puck, but then it looked clean afterwards. Shots on goal in the second period for Montreal 10, 14 after 2, and Washington 9 in the second period, 15 for the night. More hockey coverage coming your way from the Capitol Center after we pause for these words right here on Home Team Sports.